Hey guys, it's Tiffany, and I'm here to give you a glimpse of the April 2024 astrology forecast. And I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Astrology in April of 2024 is pretty intense. There's a lot of themes that are working together that, can create a lot of intensity, a lot of confusion. And I don't want that to be the case for you. So what my intention is to give you some information and some themes that you might see playing out in your life, right? And that you just remember that you have all the power, that you are in a free will existence, that you never take astrology and use it against you or use it to be in fear, right? That you are aware of the weather forecast and you just bring an umbrella when it's raining, right? So, with that in mind, um, April is a 3 month in the numerology. And so the three brings that charisma, it brings creativity, it brings charm, it's a little bit more outgoing, it brings connection, all of the C's with the three. And so I think that that gives us a hint that we're going to need to stay creative when it comes to April. Just stay curious, stay creative, think outside the box, realize that there's probably some one step forward and two steps back. Mercury's retrograde all of April, right? And so this isn't anything to be nervous about. Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. This year it's in fire signs. This year, this one, April 1 through 25, it's in Aries, and it's going to be conjunct the North Node in the sky, which is also in Aries. And so I think a lot of people are going to be reassessing what their purpose is, what their spiritual mission is, what they want to do with this wild and precious human life. I think that we're going to see a lot of people going back over old ideas and relationships and ways of being and returning home in some form or fashion to themselves, right? Aries represents the self, our identity. Now, Mercury retrograde in Aries too, with the North Node there, what's driving us forward and also what's holding us back. And so these themes of like feeling some tension in the skies of how do we want to go forward? How do we get there? What has been holding us back? Can we clear that out once and for all? Can we get clear and clarity on that once and for all? And am I willing to let it take the whole month to get clear on some things, right? And I would, because there's some exciting astrology in the sky. So I wouldn't be making knee jerk reactions or decisions at all this month. I would just stay curious and creative all month long. April 8th, everybody's super excited and interested to talk about the eclipse. The eclipse is happening at 19 degrees of Aries. So, again, this fire sign activity in the sky. We're going to be able to see it with a straight shot here where we are in Texas. So, I'm excited about that. The eclipse is conjunct Chiron, so it's right next to Chiron. So that means that Chiron is actually going to be cazimi for a moment there in the heart of the sun. In Aries, right? Aries in medical astrology rules the head, it rules inflammation. Aries rules like things that get hot, that heat up. And so you might see some more inflamed personalities. You might see some areas that gets your blood rushing, your blood boiling, right? This makes a lot of sense in a lot of departments. But you can also use this to your advantage and say, okay, I see that. I'm going to stay out of all of the forms of self that are more negative. I'm going to not be selfish. I'm going to choose to put somebody else ahead of me. I'm going to choose, right? Like there's self-reliance, right? That's what has failed us. Self-reliance is where we're just doing our own thing and having our blinders on and not being attached or committed to or devoted to something that's greater than our little tiny itty bitty pinhole vision, right? Spirit sees the whole thing. We just see this little one tiny thing and we want it to go this way. So this is an opportunity to expand, connect to some greater purpose, and then start to execute later, right? It doesn't all have to be in this moment. So Chiron is known as the wounded healer. So the wounded healer is part of the story of this eclipse. And the wounded healer, you can also just call it the healer, right? Because people that are in the arts of healing and therapy and counseling and medical and doctors and nurses and things like this, right? Often they have some trauma in their story where they have gone through some medical or emotional event that they have overcome, and it gives them the tools in their medicine bag to help other people overcome that same kind of thing that they experience, right? That's what Chiron does. It's like, here's my medicine bag, let me help you. And often you find that you can help other people more easily than look at your own stuff, right? And so that can be a big challenge of this eclipse too, is am I going to stop fixing, arguing, defending, explaining, trying to play the blame game? You know, oh, this person won't stop drinking, so it's their problem and it's their fault and everything's wrong. When will I get out of that victim mode, right? And take responsibility, self, for myself, right? The responsibility is that I don't want to be around people that are drunk all the time, right? And so this is a one example of how you can work with the energy of Aries and Chiron and the eclipse all together to be more empowering of yourself, right? Kind to yourself. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, so in many ways there's some childlike naivety to it, which is fun, that we can all tap into and have a more wondrous experience of life when we are looking at life through the eyes of our inner child, like that childlike wonder. um, okay, so there's a lot to talk about the eclipse. If you want more info on that, Celeste and Sarah and I did an in-depth study of the eclipses in our 2024 forecast. It's still available in the shop as a replay if you'd like to go back and check that out at a deeper level. We did look at some of the geopolitical areas of impact where 19 degrees of Aries has some interest and intrigue. So if you want to go there, check it out. It's just 33 bucks. And then let's see, that was April 8th. So April 10th, Mars is going to conjunct Saturn at 14 Pisces. So Mars and Saturn, there's also that energy around the eclipse of something is like over, something is broken free, something moves us in a new direction. We're no longer committed to this idea that we need to go in this new direction. Now, you may have your eclipse moments early, right? The Aries is opposite Libra. So I think we're going to see people with that, like, let's get married vibe. In fact, one of my friends just texted me that she and her partner of 16 years just got married. They were in, I don't want to overshare, but they just got married on a whim. And I think you're going to see stories like that because it's the opposite and complementary medicine of Aries. Me, is Libra, right? And then we have Mars and Saturn together in the sky, which is the malefics, which typically don't behave well together. Mars is like blood and war and energy and drive and passion. And then Saturn is like that structure, you know, it's very militant, it's very disciplined. And so, you know, we can see this energy brewing in a way that you could see a lot of breakups, you could see a lot of breakups and makeups in the same day, and pivots in what you are actually committed to. And that could be a version of yourself that you didn't even know existed, that you didn't even know was possible, that you experience healing beyond your wildest dreams, and that you feel better than you've ever felt, right? There can be a lot of healing this April. And then the other major transit, of course, that we've been excited about for a year or so is that Jupiter and Uranus are conjunct in the sky at 21 degrees of Taurus. So where do you have 21 degrees of Taurus? Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, all the fixed signs are going to be feeling the earth-shaking energy of Jupiter and Uranus together. And so Jupiter and Uranus, right? Jupiter is the cosmic magnification glass in the sky. It makes everything big. It increases things. There's benevolence. There's abundance. There's growing rich, right? There's overseas travel. There's foreign information, foreign exchange. Jupiter broadens our horizons and makes things big, increases, right? And then there's Uranus, which is totally unpredictable. So Liz Green, one of the famous astrologers, right? She says that if it's Uranus, you can't predict it, right? So I did a whole class on the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. I went through all of the history of it, all of the history of the technology, the history of exploration, all of the themes that went through all of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions throughout history. I think it's a really fun workshop. And so if you are interested in this topic, please refer to that workshop. It was for my members, but it's also on resale for people that are not in my membership. So if that interests you, you can spend a couple hours with me. I went house by house. So if 21 degrees of Taurus is in your first house, what are my predictions? If 21 degrees of Taurus is in your second house, what are my predictions and themes all the way through the 12th house? So if that topic interests you, I have that as a resource. Just know this, there can be big magic. Unpredictable things don't have to be bad. You know what I mean? I have a client who has her sun at 21 degrees of Taurus in her second house. I'm telling her to go buy a lottery ticket, you know? Things can change quickly. There can be big windfalls, there can be big wins. And the more that we think about this positively and feel things positively, the more likely that we're going to see a positive outcome. But if we're all really scared and we're all shaken up and we're all like getting really detached from our spiritual faith, right? It's going to create more of that fear vibe, and we're going to see more of that. We're going to essentially create what we don't want, right? That whole idea that prayer is, or excuse me, worry is praying for something that we don't want. So Jupiter represents big faith, you know, and Uranus represents our Einstein brilliant aha lightning bolt moments. So where are you called to have a really big amount of faith, right? And to be not attached to the outcome going how you want it to go. Maybe that'll be something better, right? Maybe so. So good news, bad news, who knows? But that is the astrology. Those are the main things going on in April of 2024. We're getting prepared to go of course, the next month is May, and Jupiter will then move into Gemini. One of the big themes of this year is discernment, because Jupiter in Gemini is information overload, too much information. So in April, I'm teaching a psychic development course to help you kind of fine tune your intuition so you can really trust yourself, so that you don't have to hire a psychic, you can become more psychic, that you don't have to hire an astrologer, you can become more astrologically oriented with what's going on in your chart, the weather forecast in your chart. These things I think are going to be empowering and helpful to people, so that you don't look at the news or get easily influenced by something out there that just kind of takes you for an emotional ride. So these are the tools that help us stay biochemically regulated. And that's, I think, my biggest advice for you in April and May is just to stay centered, get yourself biochemically regulated, find your peace, find your groundedness. And if you're not that way nutritionally already, like, let me know, I can help you. But that is going to be the base. The body is going to be the base. Being centered and calm in the body and biochemically regulated in the body is the basis of experiencing whatever is to come with your grace, with your neutrality, with your ability to stay curious and creative and observe without being taken on a crazy wave and a ride of energy. So let me know if this is helpful to you. Let me know if you'd like more information about any of the topics I brought up. And just set your intentions for April for it to be good. Set some good intentions for April for you to be wowed by the universe in a positive way. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for being here, and namaste.